Stranger Than Paradise is a movie about boredom. It's a movie about sitting around and doing nothing and waiting for something to happen. It's a realistic take on what many people experience in their day to day lives and when trying to do something sporadic. Most of the time, it's just, what do we do now? And I think it captures that to a degree that I've never seen before and just leads to such an intriguing movie. This movie makes you feel bored, but makes you enjoy being bored, and I have never seen it before in anything else. It's an independent film, pretty small budget, $100,000, and I think it was able to capture a realism that I've never seen in any other film. And the movie itself has such a crazy charm to it that while I was watching it, I was bored out of my mind, but I couldn't help but be enticed by what was happening just because of how raw it felt. At the end of the day, watching this movie isn't a fun experience. This is a very slow, boring, monotonous film. They just go from place to place with very little idea of where they're going and why they're doing it, but they do it regardless, and it's long drives and nothing happening. The dialogue is very bland, uninteresting, and not entertaining at all. There's no quick dialogue exchanges with witty responses or funny jokes. Honestly, there was very little about this movie that was funny in the slightest. It's just kind of a bleak, realistic take on how people live. If I could give a synopsis, these two New York guys, basically, they meet this guy's cousin, Ava, who is from Hungary, and they talk for a bit, then she goes to live with her aunt for a year, and they go and meet up with her, talk to her for a little more, and then leave, but then decide to turn back to take her to Florida for a small paradise adventure. And when they go on this little vacation, nothing really happens. They go to this motel in the middle of nowhere. The two degenerate gamblers, they lose all their money. And then the main girl, she goes and she's walking down the street and stumbles into a drug dealer, it looks, and he just gives her a bunch of money because he thinks she's someone else, and she uses it to buy a plane ticket to Budapest. She decides to change her mind, and then one of the guys her cousin tries to follow her onto the plane, and it takes off with him on it, and she goes back to the motel. And that's the end of the movie. Nothing happens in this film. The entire time you're almost waiting for something to happen, but it lives inside of that boredom and that anticipation that people have. Because 90% of the time when you're doing something, you're waiting for something better to happen. And this movie captures that essence of reality so well. It's just complete anticipation, and then nothing really goes down. I was really confused. I thought about it for a little bit. Throughout it, I was like, okay, I think I know what this is going for. It wants you to be bored because it's trying to capture that realistic take. And then I looked it up online, and I saw a Reddit post where a guy was like, I don't get why this movie is good. I don't get why people like this movie so much. I kept waiting for something to happen, and nothing happened. I don't get why people like this movie so much. I thought it was terrible. And yeah, in the end, I could see why people would hate this movie. If it wasn't for the feeling it gives you, I would consider this to be a terrible movie. I would not recommend this really to people because I don't think many people would like it. It's a very odd one. I don't want to use the word, but it's a very artsy film because it has one purpose, and it's kind of to make you feel bored, but the intrigue it brings from making you feel that boredom is what I think makes it so great. This is a boring film. It's a movie about boredom. It's a movie that involves boredom, but nevertheless, it intrigues you. The acting is not good, but again, no real person is a good actor. Most people are not dramatic. Most people don't have crazy dialogue. Most people just talk to each other. They had a lot of huhs and whats and asking someone to repeat something, barely knowing what they're talking about, or agreeing with them and making up excuses to say something. One of my favorite scenes was when they first met the aunt, and the guy Eddie, he like, that's exactly how people interact with like awkward situations when it's like a friend's family member and you're trying to be polite to them. Like that is how it looked. Like someone just put a camera on this guy as he walked into this guy's like house with his friend's family. There's just so much of this film that just feels so raw and real. It's really hard to get that anywhere else, and I think it captured that really well. But yeah, I would say this isn't a spectacular film, but I really like it regardless because of that feeling it is able to instill. Also, it does a really weird thing. If you ever watch it, you'll notice that there's a lot of cuts, and the screen will just go black. Like, instead of having like any sort of transitions between scenes, it'll just cut, go black for a bit, and then just open up on a new scene. It's very weird how it does that, and it screams amateur. It feels like it's just unedited. That's the only thing that isn't realistic. In real life, there are transitions. You do go from place to place. So when it cuts hard, goes to black, and then opens up in the next scene, that's the only part that kind of takes you out of it. I don't really know what to think about it. I personally think it's an interesting concept. It feels like it makes it feel like a clip show, and it disconnects you from the people, because this movie puts you right into the thing. It makes you feel like you're with these people, but every time it cuts to black, it separates you from them. And I'm not sure if that is bad or good. I feel like it is almost purposely used to keep you bored and keep you disconnected, which it seems really weird to say that, but again, that's what adds to the charm and intrigue of this film. So overall, Stranger Than Paradise, I don't know, man. This is a very weird one. Going into it, I thought it was going to be probably an artsy film. It came out in 1988, but it's in black and white. I'm pretty sure that's just because it's such a low budget. It's an independent film, and maybe they didn't have enough money to shoot in color, or it was an artistic choice. I don't know. I think it adds to the kind of realism vibe of it, the whole bleakness that the movie's trying to give you. But yeah, I don't think this review is really doing it justice. It's kind of a movie you have to experience, but when you watch it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This movie, all it is trying to make you feel bored almost, to get you into the shoes of the protagonists. And protagonist is a very loose word. The two guys, the cousin and the friend, they're degenerate gamblers. The cousin is like he seems like a terrible person to be around. All he does is get mad or just goofs around. It feels like he's kind of a horrible person. They set that up in the beginning when he's yelling at Ava for like little things that she does. He just seems like an awful person to be around. His friend Eddie, he seems like a good guy. I guess there's some sort of romance going on between him and the female protagonist Ava, but it never goes anywhere. Again, because sometimes things just never go places. Which, again, it just gives such a weird vibe to the entire film, that whole idea. In terms of the cast, I don't think many of them are in anything else. I might be wrong, correct me if you want. But I don't really know any of the other people in this, except for Richard Edson, who played Eddie, and he's a Do the Right Thing, which is a phenomenal movie. And the rest of them seem like they didn't have too much of a career before or after. Ava looks like she became a musician, and she kind of stepped away from acting. She was in a few more things, but nothing big. But besides that, yeah, the cast was really bare bones, and none of them were really good at acting. The only person who was at all really good was Richard Edson. Because, again, the acting in this movie isn't good because it doesn't really need it. It's meant to be more realistic. So, in the sense, the bad acting makes it feel more realistic, and I think that's just really interesting. I touched upon that earlier, but just to kind of, make that point clear, I think that's a very interesting direction it went in. Purposeful or not, just the kind of lack of good acting made it more interesting. So yeah, to conclude, this might seem like a really weird review because it's a very weird movie. It's really hard to praise it because it's not really a good film, but it does such a good job at instilling that single feeling that it's trying to do. And the way it works with boredom is just such a great example of like almost an artsy film, if you will. I would definitely not recommend it unless you like films like this. If you are a casual moviegoer, I don't think you would like it too much. I know that might seem weird saying that. I might get some slack for that, but that's just kind of how I feel about it. I barely liked it, and I love watching films, but this one, it still was so interesting to me. In that I feel so crossed over it. So yeah, at the end of the day, this was such a bizarre one. I don't know if I would ever watch it. Maybe I'd watch it again just to understand what makes it so weird to me. It has such a unique charm to it that you just cannot place, though, and that's what I think is just so perplexing about the entire film. This is going to be a really hard one. This is probably my hardest one to give an actual rating to because I keep bouncing around between 7 and 9. I think I'm going to settle on a 9, which seems really weird. But I think I'm going to give this movie a 9, and I didn't even like it that much, but it's the way it works with boredom is just so interesting. And this is an independent film. I don't think this was ever really mainstream, but it's just the way it uses that boredom. It's just, there's something about it and the charm that it has. Yeah, thinking about this movie is just, this one will stick with me for a while because it's just such a bizarre one. So yeah, that's just that. That's the whole review, I guess. If you have your own experience with this film, I would like to hear about it. Because this is just such an interesting one. And if you have, because I want to hear why people really like it, like other people's reasons why they really like it or why they hated it. And I feel like the reason people hate this are going to be the reasons I was kind of talking about before, and the reasons people liked it are going to be similar to the way I talked about before. But if you have a different reason, I would love to hear that, because I really don't know what to think about this film. This one had me very perplexed. This is definitely the most bizarre one I've seen so far. So yeah, Stranger Than Paradise, very, very interesting. Yeah. Have a good night.